Happy Taurus Full Moon, beautiful souls, and welcome back to my channel. I'm your host today, Brooke, and we're going to dive into the Taurus Full Moon. So how y'all doing? Are you doing all right? Um, the next couple of weeks are going to be some pretty intense weeks. We got a lot going on with this lunation cycle, and so buckle up and hold on. I hope you're ready. So, this full moon is going to be taking place at 13 degrees of Taurus, and this is going to be exact at 8:19 a.m. on 11/5. So, if you have any placements within that 13-degree spot, you're going to be particularly feeling this, and you're also going to want to look in your birth chart to see where this is going to be taking place for you. So let's dive into the energy of Taurus before we actually go over the chart. Taurus is the Empress. This is going to be a Venus-ruled full moon because Venus rules Taurus. And Taurus represents the second house in the wheel, and it represents I have. So we really could be feeling like, holy moly, do I have everything that I need? We could even be feeling like, holy moly, our resources are getting kind of low. But this is the thing. We're not going through anything that hasn't already been done in the past. And what I mean by that is humanity has gotten through similar transits before, just as this, okay? So just because it's going to be intense, just because this is Taurus, all right? Just because there's going to be a lot going on does not mean that we're not going to make it, all right? Now, we truly want to take note. What do you have? There's a lot of crises that are going on in the world today. You know, a lot of people are needing things. So, with this being a full moon lunation cycle, what can you let go of? What can you release to help others? Um, it's a great time to clean things out. Take note. What do you have? Do you have doubles of things? Do you possibly have something that one person has that you might could do a little trading? You might could do a little bartering. I do feel that there is going to be a lot of fear pushed as far as our resources go. Specifically, if you watched my Uranus and Mars opposition, having that opposition in the early degrees of Gemini and Sag, and then we're going to have Uranus retrograde back to 29 degrees of Taurus. And if we go back to the summer when Uranus was at that 29-degree point, at that critical degree point, there was a lot of war taking place in the Middle East. Oil was skyrocketing. Gas was rising. So there is this possibility that we could see a little bit of disruption within our resources. So we're going to have to come together. Okay. The Empress is the mother. She is the nurturer. So we're really going to have to come together and help one another out. Do you have something that somebody else might need and you could possibly barter? Do you have a service that you could provide for somebody to make a little extra money? Do you have something that you could offer in exchange for what you need? I do feel we're going to have to lean on each other. And again, this is not to push fear, but Lord forbid something major extreme happens, because we go back to, I wrote the dates down. 616 through 77 is when Uranus was at that critical degree. And, 2 days into this full moon, we're going to have Uranus retrograde back to that critical degree. So take note of what you have. Do you have enough to spare? Do you have enough room to probably help somebody? We're really going to have to think about one another going through this full moon cycle. Now, I'm hoping and praying that it's okay. I'm hoping and praying that we don't see it like we did this summer. However, we are still going to be in that Mars and Uranus opposition. It's not going to be just exact as it is today. I'm recording this on Tuesday night, but we're still going to be feeling that energy until there's at least a 5 to 7 degree orb separation from that opposition. That's going to take a few days to get to that point. All right. So without further ado, let me share my screen with you guys. Share screen option. Hold on. Mercury retrograde. Now we got it. All right. So let's go here. So this Taurus full moon is going to be happening at 1322. And as you can see, the sun is getting pretty close to its conjunction with Poseidon. Venus is going to be at 28 degrees, getting ready to ingress into Scorpio. And this is going to take place fairly soon after this full moon. Mars is still going to be in that exact opposition with Uranus. And we will not see that separate really until the 7th. We're going to see it separate a little bit more. And then the 8th, we'll see it separate even more. So the sun's in Scorpio. Scorpio rules transformation. It rules rebirth. It rules life and death. It also rules survival. So I truly feel we're going to be tested. We're going to have a lot of tests that we're going to have to overcome. We've got Uranus at that critical 0 point degree in Gemini, opposing Mars in Sag. So it almost feels like we're going to have a battle of the mind. Just remember that when we bless other people, that always comes back tenfold. It always comes back tenfold. So really try not to put, to give into any fear of this lack mentality of there not being enough. There is always more than enough. Okay? Is there things that you need to do to get your house in order? Do you have cash on hand? Do you have non-perishable food on hand? If something crazy happens, are you prepared? Are you able to survive? There's one thing about Scorpio. Scorpio teaches you survival. That's where that Phoenix comes into play because you have to be burned all the way down in order to rise up from the ashes. Now, Jupiter is going to be in an exact trine with Saturn. So there is a lot of karma that's being dealt. There is a lot of divine karmic retribution that's being dealt. I don't know if y'all have been keeping up, but there has been a ton of judges and officers that have been arrested this year alone. Okay? Like truly. When I tell you karma is coming to collect, it is coming to collect. That's that Saturn in Pisces. The North Node is in Pisces. We are meant to be going for the greatest good for humanity. This is where also, if people are making money on the elimination of people, it's not going to go well for them. This is going to come back around. This is going to be re-evaluated. Okay. We have Mercury at 5 degrees of Sag, and Mercury is in detriment in Sag because Sag rules Gemini, right? And I have shared multiple times, there's two positions that Mercury will be in that it just doesn't do well for me, and that's going to be Sag and that's going to be Pisces. It's almost like it's just too much. It's almost like it's just too overwhelming. It's really hard for me to focus. It's hard for me to really be able to cipher through and channel and get messages out. I have to really slow down. I've already started catching mistakes that I made. I've already started, finding oops, typos, those things like that are normal with a Mercury shadow and a Mercury retrograde. Now, Mercury's going to station on 11.9 at 6 degrees. So at this point, Mercury is pretty much almost slowed down. Venus is at 28 degrees. Oh, I feel a sneeze coming. Bless me, sorry. Energy's moving. Venus is at 28 degrees, working out of that opposition with Chiron and Eris, and working out of that square with Jupiter. And Jupiter is about to station. Jupiter's not moving either. Jupiter's going to station on 11.11 at 25 degrees. Now, Jupiter is still in that exact square with Zeus, and also in the square with Chiron and Eris. And as you can see, Chiron's going to be getting ready to move to 23 degrees. So that square is going to be easing up some. Thank goodness. The moon is in a trine with the south node. So we're going to have things from the past coming back around. There could be fears coming back around of not having enough. There could be a lack mentality coming around that you might need to re-examine. Now, the moon is really happy in Taurus. The moon is exalted in Taurus. And you want to look and see where it's happening for you so you can kind of see, okay, what's being released? What do I need to let go of? Where do I kind of need to just lay back and let the divine take over? Keep in mind, full moons are all about letting go. Go through your stuff. Are you a hoarder? Do you have things that you may not necessarily need that can help somebody in need? Do you have double of things that maybe somebody might need that you could bless somebody else with? This is a great time to go through all your stuff. Take note of what you got. Take note of any fears that come up connected to lack, any fears connected to money, any fears connected to not having enough, okay? Now, Chiron is going to move to that 23-degree point at 1748 on November 5th. So at that point, we're going to be within a 2-degree orb of that square. We're still going to be feeling the square. We're still going to have wounds that are being brought up to the surface. We're going to still have triggers that are being brought up to the surface. I had to go through and do a lot of healing connected to the root chakra, but also connected to money and my relationship with money. And this was embedded in the idea that money is evil. And so, there was a fear connected to money. There was almost like I don't want it, but then there was a lack mentality connected to that connection of money being bad. And that's not the case. Evil people that have money or have had or do have money is what is bad. Money in itself is not a bad thing. Money in itself is an energy. And so once I was able to really dive in deep and truly examine what is that block connected to money? What is that resistance connected to receiving? Okay. This is a feminine energy. Taurus is all about receiving, it's all about the finer things in life. It's all about taking your time and really examining what it is that you need. And with this square to Jupiter and Chiron, what triggers, what blocks do you need to let go of as far as money is concerned? Is it that lack mentality, as I mentioned before? Is it that scarcity mindset? And the more of us that truly start focusing on there is more than enough, there will be more that ends up multiplying. Collective manifestation is truly a real thing. Now, Jupiter is still in that trine with Saturn. And as you can see, the sun is going to start making its conjunction with Poseidon and also trining Hades and Kronos, and is going to be in a trine with the North Node sextile the South Node. So take an honest look. What's blocking you as far as your money is concerned? As far as your ability to manifest? Taurus is the bull. Taurus is stubborn. Taurus also goes very slow. Okay. So maybe you need to slow down. Maybe not rush through things. Maybe you need to go within. Nurture your divine feminine energy. We all have that, right? So take an honest look at that. On November 6th, Mars is going to sextile Pluto. And as you can see, when this happens, that sextile is taking place here at 1 degree. The moon is going to be conjunct Uranus at 0 degrees. I feel like on this day, because we're going to have Neptune at 29 degrees, we're going to have Venus at 29 degrees. We're still going to have this square taking place. The sun's going to be closer to Poseidon. Lilith is going to be conjunct Poseidon. Mercury is pretty much stopped at 6 degrees, getting ready for its retrograde. I feel like on this day we can have a lot of breaking news. I told you all, as soon as Venus moved into Libra, to pay attention to Marjorie Green Taylor, and that woman has been making waves. She's like, okay, if we're not going to be in session, I'm going to get on every single channel, every single show, every single podcast. The woman has been on more shows, podcasts, you name it, interviews, you name it, okay, than I've seen in a long time. Like, she is really going to work, and she is truly for the American people. Like, she's not afraid to say it. She's like, hey, this is the facts. This is what's going on. Keep an eye on her. The last time I told you guys to watch her, she was on the oh, I can't remember his name. The Bill Meyer, is that right? Show. This was just last week that I told you all this. Bill Meyer, on HBO. She's been on The View. Like, she's been on everything. And let me tell you, she's not sugarcoating nothing at all. She's one you need to watch out for sure. So when the moon goes into Gemini in conjunct Uranus, we could see, because it's going to be immediately in that opposition with Mars, because there's only going to be a 1 degree orb here. Mars is going to be in that sextile with Pluto. Like, be mindful when you travel for sure, because this is a full moon lunation, okay? The moon's also going to be in a trine with Pluto. Keep in mind, this has been what's truly been going on as far as the throat chakra. Gemini rules the throat in a trine with Pluto retrograde. So Jupiter's still going to be in that trine with Saturn. And at 1740, this is immediately when Venus is going to ingress into 0 degrees of Scorpio. And Venus's detriment in Scorpio, Venus does not like being in Scorpio whatsoever, okay? Venus really likes being in Libra. Venus really likes being in Taurus. And Venus really likes being in Pisces. But when it's in Scorpio, it can almost be too much. It's deep, it's intense, it can be very obsessive, it can be very controlling, okay? There could be a lot of fears that come up as far as money is concerned when it's in Scorpio, okay? Because Scorpio rules that bridge between worlds, literally the seen and the unseen, okay? Life and death. It also rules money. Venus likes to, you know, be all pretty and take her time and be dreamy, and Scorpio's kind of like, we're gonna get down to the raw dirty real fast, and Venus is just not happy there. Now the moon's going to oppose Mercury at 20:19 p.m. and the moon will conjunct Uranus at 10:26 a.m. And then it's going to trine Pluto and oppose Mars roughly around 12:26 p.m. So the moon's going to have a lot of aspects immediately after we have this full moon, literally, okay? So again, the full moon's all about releasing. We could potentially see a lot of hacks during this time, a lot of systems going down. We could see a lot of disruption within our monetary system, you know, crypto, the stock market, things like that. Now, Lilith is going to conjunct Poseidon, and Chiron is going to be at 23 degrees now. I think I've already told you that. So this is definitely one of the days that I truly feel it, a lot can be brought up because of this trine to Pluto, opposition to Mars, opposition to Mercury, conjunct Uranus, travel, any air travel. I mean, I'm hoping that, give me one card for the energy. There could even be people coming together. There could even be a lot of breakups too. This is kind of what I'm picking up on, okay? So I get the Two of Cups with the Six of Swords and the Death card. So it definitely feels like there could be some endings, because keep in mind the sun's going to be in that trine and sextile consecutively with the north node and the south node, okay? Now on November 7th, the sun is going to be conjunct Lilith and really conjunct Poseidon. They're only going to be within a 1 degree orb. Venus is now going to have joined the party in Scorpio. Mars is on its way out of that opposition with Uranus. Uranus is at 0, 0. Mercury is pretty much stopped, not moving. Okay, the moon has now moved out of its conjunction with Uranus. Now the moon is going to square the nodes. And so this is definitely going to be one of those fated days. There could be a lot released because the moon's going to be at 16 degrees, the nodes are at 16 degrees, and this is going to be a mutable T-square. So what do you need to change? What direction that you might need to tweak a little bit on what it is that you're building, on where it is that you're going, on what it is that you're creating, okay? It's all about taking note and adapting. That's mutable signs. How can I adapt? Mutable does just that. I adapt. I see, I tweak, and I adjust. With this full moon cycle, what do you need to tweak and let go of? What's truly holding you back? With it being in Gemini, what's your thoughts? Are your thoughts okay? Are your thoughts supporting your dreams that you're trying to build? Are your thoughts supporting the behaviors that you have? You know, one great example, and you know, I do this, and I have really been hard on myself because this is the worst I have been with my diet in years. And so I'm really trying to stick to not eating out anymore. Very strict with that, okay? And to start making everything from scratch that I want. Like if I want something, I'm going to make it. And get back to cooking. Truly like cooking good food, right? I always feel the best whenever I do that. And I have been trying to make bread, making my own bread from scratch. I got to change my flour, but you know, truly putting in, I want to feel good. I want to, my goal, my dream is to be able to treat my autoimmune disease without modern day medicine. How do I do that? I do that by truly getting strict with my diet, and I've done really, really well up until now. Like, I was very strict with my diet, very strict with my diet, and it made such a huge difference. So, I'm having to go back and tweak. I'm having to go back to change. No more eating out. I got real lazy with it, started eating out all the time. So, look at it. What do you need to adapt? What do you need to change? What do you need to do less of or more of? And start tweaking. And this can be deeply connected to the mind, but it's also going to be connected to your actions and your dreams and what you're truly putting forward. This is going to be a very fated day. The nodes are aspected by the moon, the nodes are aspected by the sun. And Venus is now going to start its square. Well, really, as soon as Venus ingressed into Scorpio on the 6th, it started the square energy. That's why I'm saying on the 6th, there could be something major that happens. I truly believe there could be something major that happens that day. Even this day, too, moving up to when that square gets exact. So Venus is going to be in that exact square on the 7th with Pluto at 22:25 p.m. And this is Eastern time zone. So check your time zone. This is going to be 10:25 p.m. And we still have got Saturn in that trine with Jupiter at 25 degrees. We've got Poseidon in that grand water trine with Kronos in the North Node. Lilith and the Sun are going to have their conversations, and they're going to be in that trine too. This is going to be a very fated day. Uranus and Neptune are going to be in an exact sextile because this is the day on the 7th when Uranus is going to retrograde back to 29 degrees of Taurus. And this is going to take place at 21:20 p.m. So this is 9:20 p.m. Now, the last time that we had Uranus at 29 degrees, this is going to be from 6:16:25 to 7:7:25. This is when the banks were starting to be really unstable. We could see crashes. We could see disruption there. This is also when Iran and Israel were going back and forth, and this was also around the time that, Israel was bombing Iran and the prices of oil was skyrocketing. So, hold on. Okay. Hold on. The 6th and the 7th truly are, I mean, really there's many days going through this that we could have a lot of upheaval, a lot of disruption. Going through this, but this day particular, because of Uranus going to 29 degrees, and then on 11/6 Mars at that 1 degree sextiling Pluto, the moon conjunct Uranus opposing Mars, and Venus squaring Pluto, like we could see some major crashes either day, and it could potentially start and we could just see it. Okay. Now, November 8th, the moon is going to square Saturn at 2:49 a.m. as it is leaving Gemini. And then at 9:23 a.m., it's going to square Neptune. I'm sorry, 9:32 a.m. And then the sun is going to be conjunct Poseidon exactly. Lilith has already retrograded to 13 degrees. As you can see, Mercury still stopped. Mars is still in that sextile with Pluto. Uranus is now at 29 degrees in that sextile with Neptune. And the moon is going to ingress into Cancer at 13:52 p.m. I do feel while we've got the moon in Gemini, there's going to be a lot of breaking news. When the moon ingresses into Cancer, is going to trine Venus, and this is going to take place 13:52 is when that trine is going to be exact. I don't have a screenshot of the day or of the chart. And then shortly after that, Mars is going to move to that 3 degrees of Sag. Now, as you can see, they're within a 3-degree orb of that opposition, so it is loosening up some. As you can see, Jupiter's pretty much stopped right there with Mercury, and there's a 2-degree orb of that square with Chiron, 1-degree orb of that square with Eris, and still in that square with Zeus. On November 9th, we're going to have Mercury station retrograde. And so Mercury's going to station retrograde at 14:02 p.m. So this is 2:02 p.m. on the 9th. And the retrograde is going to start at 6 degrees of Sagittarius. Mercury is going to retrograde to 20 degrees of Scorpio and will go direct on 11/29. So we got 20 days of this Mercury retrograde. And Mercury is going to retrograde back and oppose Uranus. So there could be a lot of disruption, communication, travel. I feel like this Mercury retrograde, there's going to be a lot of hackings as far as the planes go, the systems go. We could see even more plane wrecks, more plane crashes, all the things, okay? If they specifically do not get the air controllers back in, I'm hoping they do. I just got this feeling they're just not going to go back. I mean, I just can't shake it. I hope it's wrong. I hope they do go back. Now, the moon is going to be in a grand water trine with, it's going to be right in between Hades and Kronos at 16 degrees in a trine with Poseidon. As you can see, the sun is still conjunct Poseidon, still in that trine, and they are trining the north node. These are in a sextile with the south node. So when the nodes are aspected like this, these are fated things. These are fated times. Fated relationships are going to be coming together too. Okay. Fated breakups are going to be happening as well. Mars is now at 3 degrees and within a 4-degree orb of that opposition. So that's going to start easing up at this point. The sun's going to move to 18 degrees around 11 p.m. So 2300. The sun's going to move to 18 degrees. And you all know about those infamous 18 and 22 degrees. So on the 10th, the moon is going to conjunct Jupiter at 4:08 a.m. And as you can see, the sun's at 18 degrees. We got the moon conjuncting Jupiter, squaring Zeus, still in that semi-square with Chiron and Eris. Now, the moon will trine Neptune at 11:54 a.m. And I did not mention that when the moon is conjunct Jupiter is going to be in that trine. So there's going to be fated things that happen. I do feel we're going to see a lot of arrest going through this full moon cycle. I mean, we've kind of already seen it start to build up, specifically with all the cops and all the judges. Like there's been, well, and I've been researching this behind the scenes. I've not made a video about it, but there's been a lot of people busted for harboring illegals, and they are all in the justice system, for running drugs, trafficking drugs, secrets. Like, let me tell you, secrets are being exposed big time. Okay. Now, Lilith is going to be meeting Venus here pretty soon. The moon's going to trine Neptune at 11:54 a.m. and will immediately ingress into Leo. So we could see a lot of people in the limelight, a lot of people that are at the top when that happens. And it doesn't have to be famous people. It can be people that you know in your community that's very well known. This is going to take place at 12:34 p.m. and it's going to immediately oppose Pluto. So, and then start working into that square with Venus. And as you can see, Venus moves fairly quickly out of that square with Pluto. So we're not going to have to feel that for quite some time. That's a good thing. The moon's going to trine Mars at 4 degrees, and this is going to take place at 2034. And then the moon will square Venus at 2134, and then the moon will trine Mercury retrograde at 2334 at 6 degrees. So I do feel we can even hear of people, leaders within schools. Like y'all know this 18 degree, there's usually a lot of people that cross over with it being a full moon. Typically that happens a lot during a full moon cycle as well. But there could even be arrests. We could hear of arrest with these squares, with these trines. On November the 11th, we are going to have the sun at 19 degrees, officially out of the grand water trine. And I'm hoping, I didn't mention this, but I will mention it now. I'm hoping that we do not see war break out in Venezuela. As you all know, I've been showing you guys every single time Kronos and Poseidon is aspected, they're going to be in a trine with the North Node. Something major happens. So I'm hoping as the sun is in that trine that nothing crazy happens on the water, and that's going to be from the 7th to the 9th. The sun's going to be on the 8th. The sun will be exactly conjunct Poseidon, but it really starts on the 7th. So the 7th through the 9th, until that separation becomes a little bit more dominant, we could see some things happen there too. I mean, I'm hoping we don't see full-blown war there, but there is a possibility. Now on 11/11, Jupiter's going to station retrograde at 25 degrees of Cancer. Here. And this is going to take place at 11:42 a.m. And Jupiter is going to retrograde for 4 months. And it's going to retrograde until March 10th, 2026. And it's going to retrograde back to 15 degrees of Cancer. Hold on. We're going to really feel like the world's ending on this day. We're going to feel like we're just not going to be able to go forward. We're going to feel like our happy juice, like our optimism is just not there. Sag and Pisces is going to be truly affected the most because that's your ruler. And when that happens, it's almost, it can feel like your balloon's deflated. It can feel like somebody's pissed in your Cheerios, literally. Um, and it usually takes me about a week or two to truly adjust because I do thrive on being optimistic. I do thrive on being the person that can see the silver lining in all situations. So it does take a little bit to get used to. I could feel it as Pluto or as Jupiter started slowing down, getting ready to station. It was just like I just I don't care. I'm not, I don't have anything to say, and it's just not like myself. So it might feel like the world's ending. It might feel like doom and gloom is about to take place, and that's not the case. It's just because our happy juice is turning off. The world's not going to end, okay? Now the moon's going to square Poseidon at 1757, and then immediately trine Chiron and Eris. So again, I'm hoping that we do not see a major false flag event. I'm hoping that we don't see any war on the water, all the things like that. Okay. I'm hoping that we don't see anything happen to any of the politicians. And I'm really hoping that we don't see full blown civil war. However, we are in the energy of that, you know. The nodes are in Pisces and Virgo, just like the Civil War. We got Neptune there. Venus is going to be finishing up her time, moving into Scorpio. We got Jupiter in the same spot. So, Uranus was just in Gemini. The the energy of the past is still there. Okay. However, I feel like as society, we can actually navigate this without pew pews. Okay. At least I like to think we can. On November 12th, The moon's going to square the sun, and this is going to take place right after midnight, and this is going to be at 12:27 a.m. And then at 18:07, Mercury and Mars are going to conjunct at 6 degrees. And Mars is officially out of that opposition with Uranus. Thank goodness, okay, because we're going to feel better there. However, this is one of those days that if you travel, accidents could happen. There could be a lot of wrecks. There could be a lot of pew pews. There could be a lot of news about those things, specifically with Mercury retrograde. Just remember, we just had the Mercury and Mars conjunction. I guess this was a couple of weeks ago. I thought it was sooner. It's when, yeah, Mercury and Mars, it was during the Libra new moon. So I do feel that the seeds that were planted with that Libra new moon, they're definitely going to be coming back around when Mars and Mercury have their conversation again. Yeah, and because this goes back to 19 degrees, they were conjunct for a hot minute. Um, all the way to the 18th. Started their conjunction around the 17th. So we're going to have a little bit of a revisit, a little bit of a, and I truly feel that there's definitely going to be things from the past, whatever seeds were planted with that Libra new moon is now going to be coming back around, specifically when they have their conjunction. So Mercury's going to conjunct Mars at 18:07 p.m. This is 6:07. And then the moon's going to ingress into Virgo at 18:52. And then Lilith and Venus are going to conjunct at 7 degrees, but it's not going to be exact. They're still going to be conjunct, okay? Emotions could be extremely heightened. This is a day for a lot of anger, a lot of arguments, a lot of conversations that possibly just doesn't go well. Lots of accidents, truly, with the moon in Leo. Yeah, egos could be extremely high, a lot of fighting. Venus not happy in Scorpio conjunct Lilith. Like this can be the dark feminine ready to set the world on fire, and I'm going to bite your head off. Truly. Okay. So be mindful of your emotions, be mindful of your energy, um, be mindful when you travel. Oh, I didn't pull the chart for the 13th. Well, on 11/13, the moon is going to square Mercury retrograde at 5:30 a.m. And then the moon's going to square Mars around 6:15 a.m. And then Venus and Lilith are going to conjunct at 8 degrees. I cannot believe I don't have a chart for that day. I find that hard to believe. Nope, I don't. Hmm. Okay, so on November 14th at 1:39 a.m., we're going to have the sun at 22 degrees of Scorpio. The Mercury and Mars are already going to start their separation. They're quickly going in two different directions. So it's just going to be a quick meetup. And then the sun's going to start trining Saturn and Jupiter. And we're going to have Venus and Lilith come back together again at 9 degrees. The moon is going to sextile. Okay, the moon here is going to be conjunct the south node, and this is going to take place at 1:39 a.m. So this is why I'm saying with this Mercury retrograde, the past truly could be coming back around. And having that conversation with Mercury and Mars, the moon conjuncting the south node. Yeah. There's even a possibility that it might not even be the past from this life too. So past lives, people that you have destined karmic contracts to fulfill with. So just keep that in mind. Now at 13:39, we're going to have the Lilith and Venus at 9 degrees. As you can see, the sun is starting its trine with Saturn and Jupiter. It's not quite exact, but we'll still feel it. And we're going to have the sun and the moon in an exact sextile at 22 degrees. This day could be, those 22 degrees. I'm hoping it's an easy day. I really do hope it's an easy day. I hope nothing major happens this day. Um, I'm really hoping that it's truly the end of modern day medicine not being for the good of humanity, but being for the pockets of the billionaires. And we start seeing some changes there. The United States is one of the worst places for healthcare in the world. And we're seeing glimpses of this taking place because, it was just released yesterday that mercury is no longer allowed to be in any of the vaccines. I never dreamed we would get to this point. And the fact that we have, I'm going to celebrate that. I'm going to celebrate that because I never truly dreamed that we would get to that point. That's a huge win in my eyes. Yes, it's a small step. Yes, it is, just one step closer because when you travel outside of the United States, even if you go to any of the Asian countries, their medicine, I was on TikTok looking at some of these birthing centers that you go to after you have your baby. And I don't even know how I ended up on this. It just popped up in my feed one day and I was like, what is this? And people were literally going to these places to stay to recover after they had kids. And what? And it's not thousands upon thousands of dollars and they feed you nice. Their thing is all about the food. So I'm hoping that we see more of that fall with this 22 degrees sextile. And it's not anything major, but keep in mind the sun's getting ready to oppose Uranus. And when that happens, Mercury is actually going to be in there too. So hold on. On November 15th, we're going to have the moon opposing Neptune and ingressing into Libra. So that opposition with Neptune is going to take place at 3:49 a.m. And as soon as the moon goes into Libra at 4:44 a.m., and I did pull the chart for that. I thought that was pretty cool that it ingressed into Libra at 4:44. It's immediately going to trine Pluto. Going to be in a grand air trine. So I feel like these old systems, this old way of doing things is all going to come to an end. This is a full moon cycle. Pluto is now direct. So whatever is not of the highest good for humanity, even here, not of the highest good of humanity, is going to be let go of. We could even see a lot happen within the justice system. We could see even more arrest. I was quite happy to see that Nancy was not going to be running for office again. It's time that she retires. There's more of them that need to follow suit. Venus and Lilith are still going to be in their conjunction. Venus is going to be at 10 degrees. Lilith is going to be at 11 degrees of Scorpio. And as you can see, the sun is now within a 5-degree orb of that opposition with Uranus. The sun is going to be in a 2-degree orb of that grand water trine with Jupiter and Saturn retrograde out of that trine and sextile with the nodes. However, Venus is now working her way into that. On November 16th, we're going to have the sun at 24 degrees, start getting into a tighter trine with Jupiter and Saturn retrograde, getting closer to that opposition with Uranus. I do feel when we see this sun and Uranus opposition, this Scorpio new moon may be a very intense new moon, because it's going to be at the final degrees and it's going to be in an opposition with Uranus. Mars is now at 8 degrees of Sag. Mercury is now at 3 degrees of Sag. Venus and Lilith are still within a 2-degree orb of their conjunction. Lilith is getting closer to conjuncting Poseidon. And when these two catch up to Poseidon, they're going to be in that grand water trine. Anytime that trine is fully activated with the moon, with Lilith, with the sun, with Venus, something happens. So we're not quite there yet, but we will be. On November 17th, the moon is going to oppose Chiron, and this is going to take place at 3:43 a.m. And then it's going to oppose Eris at 6:27 a.m. And then it's going to conjunct Zeus at 8:05 a.m. But prior to that conjunction, it's going to square Jupiter at 6:50 a.m. There definitely could be some painful things that take place this day with this cardinal T-square, this opposition with Chiron and Eris. There could be some things that are brought to light as far as the military-industrial complex is concerned. Now, the nodes are officially at 15 degrees, and this took place at 12:49 a.m. Mercury is going to be sextiling Pluto, and this is going to take place at 15:21 p.m. The sun is going to be in that grand water trine with Jupiter and Saturn at 25 degrees. And the moon is going to ingress into Scorpio at 16:45 p.m. and start to immediately square. It's going to ingress into Scorpio. I want to make sure I didn't say ingress into Pluto. It's going to ingress into Scorpio and immediately square Pluto. And that exact square is going to be at 20:05. So this is going to be 8:05 p.m. Eastern time zone. Yeah, a lot. It could be an intense square. This is one of those days that can be like, what the fuck is going on? Okay. With the sun in that grand water trine, almost in that opposition with Uranus, the moon ingressing into Scorpio is going to be deep, dark anyway, squaring Pluto, like truly. Okay. Hmm. I'm hoping we don't see war break out again. Again, I'm hoping that we don't see the banks collapse. I'm hoping that we are able to get some stability with our resources. However, at that 29-degree point in a sextile with Neptune, everything at 25 degrees, emotions can be extremely high. Hmm. And this is at 6:50. Oh, did I pull charts for both of those? That's when the sun squares Jupiter. Okay, now on November 18th, we're going to have Mercury officially at 0 degrees of Sagittarius. As you can see, Mercury's starting to pick up speed. The moon is going to be at 11 degrees of Scorpio, starting to get into that trine with the North Node, Kronos, and Hades. Mercury is about to be in that exact opposition with Uranus. Lilith is in that trine with Saturn and Jupiter. Poseidon's still in that trine with the North Node and Kronos. And Lilith is about to conjunct Poseidon. Now, Mercury is going to be at 0 degrees Sag at 4:02 a.m. And Venus is going to trine the North Node at 16:45 p.m. in sextile the South Node. And that is here. Okay. The Sun's still in a grand water trine with Saturn and Jupiter. The Moon's going to conjunct Venus at 23:49 and trine the North Node and sextile the South Node. So pay attention to your money, pay attention to your relationships. This holds the potential to be in a very fated day. Now we're building up to the new moon. So we're going to be getting into a balsamic moon at this point, okay? Mercury's going to move to 29 degrees of Scorpio, and this is going to take place at 22:21. This is one of those days that as soon as Mercury starts opposing Uranus, um, something intense could truly transpire. The last opposition, the most recent opposition that we had with Uranus and Mercury was going to be on 10/29, and that was at 0 degrees of Sag and Gemini. This is going to be at Taurus and Scorpio. So the sun's going to move to 27 degrees and start trining Neptune and opposing Uranus. I got two charts. So on November 19th, we're going to have 3 planets at 29 degrees. And then we'll have an illuminary, 2 illuminaries join the party. Okay. So we will have Mercury retrograde, Neptune retrograde, and Uranus retrograde at 29 degrees. Now, Mercury's not going to stay at that 29-degree point for very long. It's going to retrograde back to and be conjunct. It's going to be conjunct the sun at 28 degrees. They're still going to be opposing Uranus. This is, they're going to be in a trine with Neptune. Emotions are going to be extremely heightened. Okay. Accidents are going to be at an all-time high, especially as you travel. There could be disruption as far as our communications, hacking, travel, plane, car, resort. Like there could be a lot that's brought up this day, truly. The moon's going to conjunct Poseidon and trine the north node in Kronos. And then Venus is going to trine Kronos at the north node at 15 degrees. And then Venus will conjunct Poseidon at 16 degrees at 22:37. And that's this chart here. So we're going to have Venus conjunct Poseidon, trining the node, and Kronos. We're going to have Lilith conjunct the moon. Like when I say it's going to be a deep, dark, intense moon, like it's going to be raw, deep. Okay, the dark feminine. Mercury's going to move to 28 degrees at 14:10. So Mercury's going to start off the day at 29 degrees in that opposition with Uranus. And then at 16:10, it's going to move to 28 degrees. And it's going to conjunct the sun at 21:05. And then the moon will be in a conjunction with Lilith. Now, the Scorpio New Moon is going to take place at 1:46 a.m. and it's going to be at 28 degrees, conjunct Mercury retrograde, opposing Uranus retrograde. And there's going to be a Mercury Sun Cazimi that will be exact at 4:14 a.m. and the moon will oppose Uranus at that exact time. So, the Scorpio New Moon, I feel like it's going to go off with a bang. Literally go off with a bang. I hope we don't see a lot of what we have gone through this summer now that we've semi gotten the world to calm down. I hope that we don't. I hope that everything stays chill and you know we don't see more war. I hope that we're able to put that to us. Okay, let's see. What does the collective need to release or let go of with this Taurus full moon? Give me some cards, please. Okay, they're really talkative. Ooh, emotions. Releasing control. Let go. Trust that you're the magician. Trust your intuition. Stop trying to micromanage. Get out of your head. Yeah, That karma's gotta let that go. Gotta let that go. Okay. That's the karma that's being healed. And I don't typically do reversals, but I've got two reversals here. Give me one more, please. There's definitely going to be some communication with this Mercury retrograde that's going to launch you forward. And you may not see it coming in, okay? But this is what I get. I get the Magician with the Chariot and the Queen of Cups. Truly, trusting that you are your own magician, trusting the divine, really keeping an eye on your emotions, right? Not really focused on anything else, focused on your own nurturing, taking care of you. That's what you need to be doing. You are on the other side of clearing this karma, and this is connected to self-talk. This is connected to stress, worry, okay? Because the devil is in reverse, and I've got communication coming in right after that. This is what's being cleared. This is what's being released, let go of. This is exactly what I was talking about when I was going through the charts. Like, what do you truly need to let go of? When the moon is in Gemini, be honest with yourself. Is it the way you talk to yourself? Is it the things that you say when nobody else can hear you? Let that go. Write it down, okay? Take some time and write it down. There could be somebody watching you from a distance. And I get the Hangman in reverse. What's interesting is the devil and the Hangman both come out in reverse. But I do feel that there's going to be a text message, there's going to be an email, there's going to be a communication, and it may not even be like through the phone. It could be through social media. It could be, there's going to be some kind of small conversation. This could also be stalker energy too. And it might even start out small, as in the spiritual journey, your enlightenment, your healing journey, about your, could be even be your strength. But things are definitely moving forward. There is a lot of movement, and what needs to be released and let go of is this karma right here. Let the shit go. And it's almost like as soon as you see it, as soon as you address it, as soon as you write it down, as soon as you let it go, as soon as you go through and you do that, things open up for you to move forward, for the burden to be put down, for the path to open up for healing, okay? But whatever this is, you gotta hit it head on. You gotta face it head on, okay? Happy Taurus full moon, and I will be doing my Taurus full moon healing circle on 11/5 at 4:30 p.m. You can find the link to join below. Love to have you there. And we have a ton of fun. Sometimes it's intimate and there's just a couple of us, and sometimes there's more, sometimes there's less. It just depends on the natural flow. But come hang out, talk astrology, talk energy. Definitely fun. But I hope you all have an amazing full moon. Stay safe out there. I will definitely be dropping updates over the next 2 weeks to keep you all up to date with what's being brought up. All right. I love you guys, and I will see you for the next lunation cycle. Bye.